just want to go over a couple things before we start. So we have this, and then so girls, if you could be good translators because you're all in a group message with your coach. But the only other time we need another parent, if they're available, would be during sports nutrition, and that will be September 28th. Same thing here. And then the rest of the times, it'll just be you girls in the gym, small groups, working with just your specific specialty coach. So any questions about the development program flyer that you guys got? Okay. And then the last thing I always tell people is honestly the biggest thing is communication. The more you communicate, girls, if something pops up, you think what's happening. So.
Hey Ryan, hold on, I've got to put because we're recording
too,
it.
yes.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you for waiting for me to be here today. Thank you to Katie and Cass. Trying to get it on a surgeon's schedule is almost impossible. We've been trying to pull this off for how long? And then how weird is the world that today, any guesses where the patient we just treated is from? And it's not America. I'll give you that hint. Switzerland. Rock climber. Rock climbing, a hold above her broke loose. Boulder hits her, knocks her off the rock, paralyzing her from the waist down. So today, be glad your legs work. But we did stem cells, and she can feel her toes for the first time in 3 years. She was already getting sensations before she even left our clinic. So we do amazing things, but I'm sorry that delayed us. But be glad you can play volleyball and you have legs and didn't fall off a cliff today. Okay, so super excited. We'll just get right into it. We'll spend as much time on the sports psych side, and we'll use the accordion on what I do every day, but it's super fun side. So I need 3 quick volunteers, and somebody in blue is awesome. So I'm going to steal you in blue, and then you had a hand up. Yes, will you come on up? And then one more. Who can be my third? All right, super cool. It's good to see you. You grow every time I see you, I swear. Okay, move over to this side just a little bit. Sorry if I'm not in the camera. So if you were in a defensive base position, you'd have one person back, middle, right, and then 2x2s. Kind of get how that would look like if you were the libero in the back. You can help the younger one know where she would be. So you're like in a lib. So in a defensive position, right, we're in that position right there, right? We're to have one in the back, 2 on the side. Why? Yeah, you have short coverage, deep coverage, all this stuff, which is amazing. So today's theme is reset, right? But reset to what? Do we want to reset to being crappy or normal or weird or all that stuff? We want to reset to being amazing. But we want to reset to who we really are. Now here's the really cool thing is what makes up more of you than anything else in your body? Any guesses? There's one element that beats all other elements. And she's in blue is the hint. Water. Did you know we're made more of water than anything else? Guess what water's chemical makeup is? We all know the phrase H2O. And where does the O sit with the 2 H's? The O sits back in the middle, and at 109 degrees are the 2 H's. Perfect defensive position volleyball. Do you guys know you're literally water on the court when you're playing well? And it works so well because it's all polar and it's super fun. These guys are positively charged. So you want your positive people, and then you're a negative back there covering all the negative backspace. And what's the number of things that happen because of these positive and negative charges are just amazing. But the first thing that I want to just teach you guys is literally who you are so that we can talk about resetting to what we are. So we all agree that we're water on the court and we want to be water because water's amazing. We'll talk about why water's so good. Okay, thanks for just humoring me for a minute because I could have described that that's what defense is like. But then once you see it, everybody's done that, right? We're all high enough volleyball. We're past the 2 lines of 3. We're actually playing 2x2 and real rotation defense. So for new girls who don't know, I've been the program director of the Division I program down at Utah Tech. And I've coached little girls travel ball all the way from little to now I'm the 17U national team coach. So we're having a ton of fun in this whole world. Our outside hitter's 6'4" with a 33-inch vertical. It's kind of wild. The net is like right here when she jumps. So I'm excited to see you guys, but that's the level of volleyball I love, and what we see is from the tinies down to the 6'4" insanes. So I want to help you get there. But in order to get there, you need to know who you are. And who you are, ironically, is water. Water makes up almost everything inside of you. So I'm going to teach you about who you are and how to get so good at it. And then when things go wrong, how to reset back to who you are. Okay? Water's pretty cool, but it's only cool when it's doing good things. Water has this ability to dissolve everything else, make things go away, make things move, make things happen, which is just insanely cool what water can do in every way. And so if you can be like water, then you can be incredible. One of our fun matches, we played Grand Canyon University, their Division I program down in Phoenix. They're really good. They recruit from all over the world. They have international players that are just phenomenal. But how was the Grand Canyon made? Water, right? So what's stronger than the Grand Canyon? Water. Carved them up. So our whole theme going down there was carve them up, and we ended up pulling off a huge upset down in their gym, which was phenomenal. We went to the WAC championship for the first time in school history. So it's just fun when you take these elements and start to think about how can we be who we really are. Because the weird thing is the world confuses, especially you young women, more than anything, that you have to be something different than who you are. Now, besides who you are, where are you? So let's try something kind of fun for a minute. Put both feet down on the ground and just kind of sit really relaxed and kind of hold your palms out towards the sky. And that's just what they call in all these fun psych worlds and Celtics and cheese and all these things of just open, receptive posture. And you can just relax your hands on your lap. Okay? Now, when you close your eyes and I ask you, where are you? If you touched with your fingers on your knee, so close your eyes and touch your knees. Are you your knee? Or does that feel too low? That's below where you are, right? You can just feel that's not me, that's my knee. Okay, what about your thigh? Touch up a little bit higher. Still too low, right? Okay, touch your left shoulder. Are you your left shoulder? No, that feels off to the side, right? Touch your right shoulder. Are you your right shoulder? No. How about your left ear? Are you getting a little closer? Okay, how about right ear? Okay, now touch the top of your head. Now for the first time, we're too high, right? You're like, no, I'm not on top of my head. But when you get really conscious of thinking about where this consciousness lives, it's deep down behind your eyes and your nasal things where almost everybody talks about the center of that intelligence that makes you uniquely who you are. So when you have a quiet moment in bed, I want you to try that again and just see if you can pinpoint it down to the deepest level. Because the insanity of no matter how cool we get with stem cells and medicine, there will never be another one of you ever. No matter how good we get at cellular movement and cloning and all this stuff, the unique intelligence and the combination of cells and genes and everything that makes you you is different than anybody. And the weird irony is the more you try to be something different, the worse you perform. Have you ever tried that, to play like somebody else? It doesn't work very well, right? It's easy to have jealousy and wish you could do what somebody else could do on the court. But the amazing things happen is when you realize who you are. Because once you know who you are, then the external circumstances no longer touch you. So I want you guys to learn to be these just extremely confident, one time ever universal creature that has this amazing individual worth. Whether you ever hit a volleyball again, that's powerful beyond measure. And it's powerful on the volleyball court. Because once you understand that, whether you miss or not, doesn't matter. You can miss a ball and it didn't affect that person who you were. Because you know who you are, you're not dependent on your outcomes. In sports psych, we call it process-oriented versus outcome-oriented. You're somebody who can love the process of who you are becoming, not whether or not you hit a ball or won or lost. Does that make a little bit of sense? We don't have enough time to go too deep into that topic. I just want to set the stage for who we are. And if you get really good at these two questions to find out more about who you are, I feel, how good are we at answering that question in today's world? Not great. When they measure called emotional intelligence, it's rated extremely low, especially in today's generation. It's amazing how hard it is just to answer that one question. I feel ... And we often use called masking emotions. I feel angry, but anger is literally just a secondary emotion. Why are you mad? Once you go deeper and deeper and get really good at just answering the question, I feel. I guarantee any of my Division I players, first coming on campus, whether they're transfer or recruit, have a hard time answering that question. But now in a millisecond in the middle of a match, how do you feel? I feel, and they can answer it. With practice, just like passing and setting, it becomes a skill that you get better and better at. Some of the answers are, I feel nervous. I feel anxious. I feel out of my place right now. I feel scared. I feel like I'm going to fail. Or some of the answers are, I feel awesome, coach. I'm ready. Let's go. And then the second question you ask yourself is, I will. So now that you know how you feel, now you get to choose what to do with it. Unfortunately, they often call this the feeling generation. I don't feel like going to school today. Well, you should go to school anyway because there are these consequences attached to that action. But often we get to be a slave of our emotions instead of controlled by our decisions. And so when you get really good at figuring out how you feel, then you start with I will. And between feeling and action is that awesome little thing called choice or consciousness or agency that makes you unique to everybody else. This girl today that fell off the cliff was an amazing example of that. I've seen hundreds of wheelchair-bound patients in my career. Most of them look really thin and their body just shuts down and they atrophy and all that stuff. But she, over the last 3 years, has continued to do extreme upper body workouts, and she had deltoids and triceps that were just bulging as she was sitting there. I'm like, she could have chose to just say, oh, I'm stuck in a wheelchair, life sucks. But she chose between that feeling of I can't walk anymore and her I will fight with everything I have to maintain my strength, maintain my movement. It's pretty crazy to see what that happens when you change that I feel I will. Because if we can teach you where you are at a baseline, that you feel good and you will do choices that you decide in the middle of the court, in the middle of the match, in the middle of the moment, in the middle of your turn to serve. At every moment, you're who you are and you feel the way that you want to feel, and then you make choices to make outcomes happen. Then you start to get in control. Because then we can push you into that thing that we've taught the older girls a lot more about, and we want to keep teaching you about this idea of flow state. When you can get to where you know exactly what's going on and you're in total control, your confidence is through the roof. Kobe Bryant used to say he felt like he even could control the crowd and the refs during the game when he got in those Mamba mentality moments, in the zone, in the flow, feeling it. Flow state is the scientific term we give for it, where you have ultimate confidence, you're in complete control, you have loss of self-consciousness, you quit worrying about how you look or how you behave or how you're perceived, and you just start playing. And then the most incredible thing happens is called transformation of time. All of a sudden the match is over and you're like, that was the most fun moments and I wish it would just keep going forever, and it's done. They've studied this in artists, performers, painters, high-level people. Time just disappears. And when they put electrodes on your brain, they find that this big front half of your brain that pays too much attention and thinks too much shuts off in a process called transient hypofrontality. And then that distortion of time happens and you can't miss. You ever had those little moments in a match yet? I hope you've all experienced it even just a little bit. But if you learn who you are and how to feel and how to push, we can play with those equations and get you there. So as we talk today about our main theme today is reset. We don't want to reset to some weird process down on the bottom floor of performance, right? We want to start in flow state at our peak performance with our confidence and with our joy and with all those fun things that happen. And then when things don't go that well, that's where we want to be our reset moment back to. Does that make sense? When the coach calls a timeout, they don't want to say, okay, let's call a timeout and let's see you guys play worse from here on out, right? We're trying to reset so that we push things up to a higher level. And what's fun is we've had discussions with your coaches about even timeout strategies and things that we do to help with timeouts and things, that process to help in this reset. But we want to make sure everybody has similar language as we put together these things. And our brains are really good if we organize information. So we have fun little acronyms about flow state. We'll remind and go over again with you guys that way. But today's acronym is about the word reset. So if you have your notebooks out, stuff, right? The reset letters big down the side of the column. And we'll talk about how to organize information into letters that you can use in the middle of a match when you're trying to think, what do I do to reset? Sound good? Any questions so far? Thank you. My amazing assistant is going to be here. Any questions about feeling, flow state, intelligence, confidence? Anybody think of a time when they felt that? I can tell you when I've seen it. So we played at Cal Baptist. They had their outside hitter was from France. Their setter was from somewhere in Europe. really cool team at their facility, big, beautiful gym down in California. And our freshman middle had one of those days where she got in flow state and couldn't miss. She dominated the match in every way. She had, I think, 18 kills with only 2 errors. She had like double-digit blocks. She had everything, and even had 3 sets when we were out of system and she threw the ball up and somebody else got the kill. You want to see a middle go crazy? Watch them get a good set to a pin and then put it down. That's super fun. She won the WAC Player of the Week and WAC Player of the Month, both awards, and then ended up being on the freshman all-WAC team. So I hope you can get those moments and feel what that feels like so we can reset you to there. But the thing that happens that's amazing with that is when we reset, it's super cool. So so you're in the middle of a match, you're playing really well. Who's your guys' worst rivals? So I know we've got different high schools here, so somebody just throw out a rival. Club B, yeah, let's go. Club B, who else? Who else you guys like? This is a team I just really want to beat. Idaho Crush, love it, okay. Who else brings out the ire? Super fun. Okay, so I want you to be envisioning even their jerseys, what they look like, what they act like, all the reasons why you want to beat them. And I want you to just think about that in your mind for a minute. So you're in the middle of that game, you're playing really well. You're up 18-17, rotation happens, it's your turn to serve. Okay, you come up to the service line, you're feeling a little sus, your boyfriend shot you a text before the game that looks a little weird. You're like, I don't know. So you're not really in your head. Throw the ball up, hit it, hits the top tape and comes down on your side. We all know what that feels like. Nobody in here has ever missed a serve, I'm sure. You guys are all perfect servers. Okay, what do you feel right at that moment when you see it hit the tape and roll down? And not on their side. Those are the funniest, is when it hits the tape and goes on their side. Yeah, what do you feel when that happens? Yeah, disappointed. I feel disappointed. Great one. Other thoughts? Yeah.
Kind of mad at myself for not getting the serve.
Yeah, mad, disappointed, mad. Yes. Embarrassed. Everybody's watching. There's no hiding when it's your turn to serve, right? The entire game literally stops. It's called a closed chain activity. It's like free throws in basketball. It's the one time you have total control. So it's embarrassing when we miss. You feel disappointed. You feel mad. Other thoughts? Yeah. Yeah, you feel pressure. Like, come on, it's your turn. Have you ever had teammates that either give you the side eye or say something to you when you're doing that? Never in our club, right? Nobody does that. We had an entire 2-hour lecture on side eye with our college athletes because they got to where they were good enough not to say things to each other, but can your eyes say some pretty cool things? Yeah, you can be really mean without saying anything to somebody, right? Okay, so think of that feeling. I want you to think what that feels like. We all have those feelings, right? You've put in all the work and done that thing, and then you hit the serve and it hits the net. So when we have those feelings, it's totally normal. But what we want to do very first is embrace that feeling, and then we want to release it. Okay? So I learned this from scouts in the Major League Baseball. So I do basketball, baseball, volleyball are my 3 main sports. And then recently we started a pickleball channel that's nuts. So I'm getting into this weird new sport. Baseball scouts, you see them in stadiums with pocket watches. Everybody thinks they're measuring running time and pitch speeds and stuff like this. But guess what the number one thing when you talk to an MLB scout that they're measuring the time for? So they see a kid strike out, and then they go click. What do you think they're watching? Yeah. How long does it take them to get back? Every athlete fails. We're all going to miss a serve. We're all going to miss a kill. We're all going to shank a pass. And we're all going to have all of those feelings we just talked about, from disappointment to embarrassment to all of those things. And it's not that we're robots and we want to teach you to never have those feelings. We want to teach you to fully embrace, I feel like crap right now. But then the next thing is, I will. What's your next choice? So a non-helpful compensation is to stay there, right? So we do this thing, we're in the Burns Arena in Utah Tech, and has this huge ceiling, and we go up in the rafters and we drop a towel off the rafters. And the towel hits the ground and it just splats and stays there, right? We miss a serve and we're down, And if you're like a wet towel just lands and splats. Then you miss the next ball, you yell at your teammate, you get pulled out on the bench, and you're a bad teammate on the bench. It just keeps spiraling, and you just wallow and just stay down there. We all agree that's not the best strategy, right? So how do we switch that? We release it, okay? How do we release those bad emotions? Breathing. Yeah, you and I have had some time together. Like, wait, older fun. Okay, what's the technique of breathing we've talked about? Can you remember the fun? Eric has a really powerful box breathing technique is one, but what's another one? No, or is it? Yeah, because you have your notebook there. But breathing. How many breaths does it take to change your neurochemistry, the literal chemicals in your brain that are making you feel all of those things? Any guesses? Yeah, it's well, you're thinking of the 300 seconds to get over like getting somebody to do something in the first place, but as short as 3 breaths changes neurochemistry. So I want to teach you guys all just the simplest breathing technique called second peak breathing. So you breathe in as far as you can. So breathe in as deeply as you can possibly breathe in. When you're really good at diaphragmatic breathing, we have our players lay down and make sure their stomach is rising and falling, not just their chest lifting and going. It's called ancillary breathing muscles. So breathe in as far as you can. And when you can't breathe in anymore, then do a little second puff and then let it out. Do that 3 times. Everybody go ahead and try that. And even just talking about those emotions we did will bring those emotions because emotions are contagious. If we as coaches are feeling all those feelings, it actually rubs off. If you as a teammate, it rubs off. So just after 3 breaths, now how would you describe the feeling? How does it feel to breathe? Calm. Any other phrase? How else would you describe it? Relaxed. Quiet. Noise is gone. Like it's literally the chemicals are called epinephrine, norepinephrine, and it's just they get released when we do that. So breathing is a really cool way to bounce back. So B for the breath. And what's another way to trick your brain? Your brain will listen to your body. So you can fake your brain out. So one of the things we talk about, like if I had a picture of Kennedy, our outside hitter that won everything, broke all these records, or if she walked in right now, what do you think a Division I outside hitter that's broken all the records would look like, walk like, and act like? Do you think Kennedy would walk in here with her shoulders down and just kind of like be scared? No? She just sent me her wedding announcement. You want to see what Kennedy looks like? It's fun that I'm so old that my players are getting married. And even one's having babies, which is way fun. Yeah. What do you imagine a Division I outside hitter looks like just in your mind? And then she married a Division I basketball player, so they're going to have some fun. D1 babies. So this is Kennedy, who's insane, broke tons of records. So when she came to us, she was actually a transfer her freshman year. She transferred from another school. And she liked to not stand up tall. It's kind of hard sometimes as a tall girl in this world. You want to be down and be with everybody else, but not on the volleyball court. We want your shoulders up and back. So if you switch your body, you can change how your brain reacts. They've done study after study after study that just changing your body changes your brain. Some of you older players know that I've told you about the Stanford tests, where they had high-level testing centers, and they had students literally just change body poses and do called power poses and power positions before they went into the testing center, and their scores improved. Statistically different than those that just walked in and took the test. You can literally change your brain chemistry just by your body. So for all you guys that haven't done this with me yet, it's so simple. Stand up really quick. Okay. And all of your joints in your body are all designed to be in special places. And so first just try shoulders forward and just lean forward. It's like, okay. Does that feel strong or powerful? Not even your body feels good with that, right? Okay. So now shoulders back. And then there's this place where your body feels called weightless. Like you should feel like you couldn't tip forward or back or anything else. And then you put your thumbs on the point of your shoulders. And that'll just kind of force your shoulders. The most common thing we do in American society, we sit forward and lean forward all the time. So just externally rotating your shoulders and extending your back and then relaxing down to there. That's what we call the power position. Okay, does that just feel different standing that way than being like this? So if you walked up to the, after you missed your serve, we're doing release. Like I want you to walk out on the court feeling like that. But if you, in today's method of release, if you've just missed your serve into the net, and what's the natural thing to do? Look down and throw a fit and do all those things. What happens if you would miss your serve, take a breath, and roll your shoulders up and go into the middle of the huddle? What does that say to the other team? You guys can sit down now. What does that look like from the other side? Yeah. Are you worried about that girl serving next time? Or are you hoping she's going to serve next time because she's missed all those? Right? We're way more excited about her being there to serve and do those other things that way. Make sense? So your brain can literally change with your body. And that ties right into number 2, which is eyes. And Cass, if you'll keep me on time, I know I want to, any parents who have to go because we got started a little bit late, don't hesitate. I won't be offended at all if you walk out and need to do other things. But I'll talk about this for 8 hours if you let me, huh, Cass? There's just so many directions to go with the body and the brain and how it works. And I absolutely love it. So after we breathe and release our body, the next thing is our eyes. Okay, this is kind of awkward. Even I do this with every new group of recruits, everything else, and it's always still awkward. But turn to your neighbor and just stare right into their eyes. Tell me what color their eye, like think about, you don't have to say it out loud, but think about what color their irises are, the little things, and it gets awkward really fast. But look at all of the amazing things you can see, the little cornea, the iris, the blood vessels, all of the fun things. Okay, now pause for that for a minute. That's a little bit long to be awkward. Okay, now do it again, only this time I want you to think about how bad you hate something while you turn and look at the next person. Can you tell just from looking at them that they are not happy at the moment? Just from the eyes. Okay, all right, reset. Let's try a new one. Try scared. Think of something that you just walked into a room and something just freaked you out. What do your eyes look like when they're scared? Show each other a little scared eyes and then laugh about it and have a little bit of fun. Okay. So now I want to see, okay, pause about that one. Okay, last one we'll do. I want to see the most confident eyes you've ever imagined. Like, you are the baddest mofo this person has ever met and ever seen. What does that look like? Okay. So after you make a mistake, do the eyes tell the story? Absolutely. They tell so much more than we even consciously know. They used to think that first impressions, you needed about 7 seconds to figure out somebody. They've now shown it's less than 1/10 of 1 second. They can flash a picture of somebody in 1/10 of a second, and they will make all kinds of decisions about that person. Like they'll fill out an entire questionnaire about that person's life story in 1/10 of a second of seeing a visual image of them. So if we know that our eyes are that powerful that just looking at each other, we can see that you can see if they're mad, they're sad, they're happy, they're all those things. When you understand that you're in control of your eyes, and the number one thing that our eyes do when we make a mistake is, where do they often look? Down. We are embarrassed and we are gravity and everything just naturally pulls our eyes down. So this one's not complicated, not rocket science. What's the number one way to reset after a mistake? With your eyes. Just that one trick will change so many things in your neurochemistry. It's a weird thing that when we're teaching people, public speaking is one of the scary things. And so guess where you teach people to look that are afraid to speak to people? Back of the room or forehead? Like if you just look at somebody's forehead while you're talking to them, like it's weird because they think you're looking at them, but it's also kind of weird, but it's so much better than looking like this when you're talking to them. So good coaches like you guys have, when you make a mistake, can see if you're breathing, getting your body language back, right? And your eyes are up. Then we don't care if you miss 50 serves, weirdly, ironically, because we know you're ready for the next point. We know you've learned and embraced this idea of Volleyball and life is a game of failure. You're going to fail all the time. But what do you do when you fail is the difference between the 1% people that I get to hang out with and the people who just have fun and try to figure it out, but it really isn't fun because they wallow like the wet towel on the bottom of the ground. Okay, can we make it a challenge for our team that you're, as you come back to the circle after every point, if somebody just had the worst hit of their life, somebody had all those things out, you're going to see it in each other, and we're going to be kind, we're not going to be mean, but we're going to have it be our goal in Invicta that when we come to the middle, our eyes are up. If it's a little awkward to stare into their beautiful irises, then look over the top of their head, look at over the net to the other team. But what we don't do is love the floor. When I teach elite pitching, we say that their chin doesn't ever touch their jersey the entire time they're on the mound. I don't care if you just threw it over the backstop. The ground doesn't exist when you're an elite pitcher. And it's super fun. One of my elite pitchers just threw his 16th no-hitter. Like, it's super fun when your confidence just goes in this way. It's actually weirdly, all the way down to a subconscious level, messes with the other team. They've studied it all the way down to little crustaceans in the bottom of the ocean. The ones that hold their claws up the highest and the ones that keep their eyes up stay on top of the pile and eat the most food. The ones that look down and walk away are the ones that are at the bottom of the food chain. So it's literally deep, deep stuff that we understand. Okay, sound good? Any questions so far? All we get is the re. If we get the release, that we don't wallow in it, we release it by breathing and getting those emotions out. What's a good bounce back time? We didn't really cover that. So a baseball player will check it and wait and watch and watch. What's a decent bounce back time? Poor level players is anything over 2 to 3 minutes. In volleyball, that can be 6 to 7 points. You want to lose 7 points or 1 or 2 points? That's a lot better. So if you know what bad is that much time, what do you think is an elite bounce back time? Yeah, within 3 seconds is considered powerful. It doesn't mean we don't care that we miss. We're not robots. We have an emotional release, but we breathe and we bounce back and get our body back up. So when we're looking and recruiting, that's one of the really powerful things. So our eyes are up. Okay? Questions? Thoughts? Even though all we do is that much today, that's awesome. Okay, then the next phase. The amazing thing about volleyball is it's not like soccer and not like other things where the ball just continually keeps moving. Every time you score in volleyball, what happens? Everything stops. They give it to the other team, and you get to be on offense. Isn't that wild? There's hardly any other sport that when you make a mistake, it's now your turn to play offense. Everything else is you get punished for making the mistake. Back when my sisters played and when I was young, you didn't even get a point for a side out. It was just assumed that that was so easy that you had to only score when you were serving. But now it's changed. Now every single time you lose a ball, it's your turn to be on offense. But do we forget that sometimes? We think, oh, we just made a mistake. They get to serve. But what is them serving means we are on serve receive, which means we're running our offense. Do we sometimes forget that? We learned this the most with one of our amazing liberos out of Hawaii. 5, okay. And then we knew that she was getting this when we played against the Dominican national team's outside hitter. This girl hits the ball harder than any person I've ever seen. So in the Burns Arena, we have these red stacks of seats, and they're about 15 feet away from the volleyball court because it's in the middle of the big basketball court, right? It's lots of room and then seats. She was bouncing balls off the ground 30, 40 rows up. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, nobody was even touching it. But I knew we were going to win when on the third ball that she hit, before the second bounce even landed up in the stands, our Hawaiian libero was already talking about our next play. Like, she just like, so what if she hit the ball? It's only worth 1 point. Now we're on offense. Now it's our turn. Where other teams, we watched video and they would just see her start bouncing balls and they would just crumble. And she would hit 5, 6, 7, 8 balls in a row. She'd hit one at us and our team would go, all right, our turn. Watch this. And would bounce one back. And it just went, I think it was 31 to 33 was the set score. Because when you're not afraid to start over because you're confident in who you are, that's a powerful thing. Make sense? Volleyball especially, you get the chance to start over every time. Okay? All right, next we need to do a little bit of math. Draw a graph in your notebook, and then draw this cute little curve that goes like this, and then goes like that. So this is the energy versus performance curve. So once we start over, we need to make sure we've got our energy right. Energy needs to be dialed and in place. Guess what's so amazing about energy? What are we made of? Water. And what do we bring in to change our body? Oxygen. Oxygen and water is some of the most powerful energy. Like some entire cities are run by water running through dams, right? You see that whole thing change? So the energy that's inside of us is totally under our control. So when we're flat and we don't have very much energy at all, if our energy is low, what is our performance? It's also low, right? Low energy, low performance. You ever had teammates that are low energy? Not very much fun, right? Okay, but there's also this point where it drops off. You ever had that teammate that has this insane, like just runs out on the court and overhits everything? Yeah, energy hits a peak and then performance drops off precipitously, super fast. So where is the peak of performance when your energy hits it just right? Guess what? That's as unique as every single one of you. The higher trained you are, the less energy it requires. You hit your peak performance at really low energy levels. Like Michael Jordan, they talk about him being cold as ice or ice in his veins or ice blood. At very low energy levels, he can perform at the peak level. One guy was talking trash to him one time on the free throw line, and he just turned, looked at him, closed his eyes, and then swished the free throw. He's like, I don't even need to look. I'm that good. So the better you get, the more you'll find that your energy peaks even sooner. But this is something that we as coaches can help try to monitor if your energy is too high or too low. But energy, especially on your internal gauge, is completely up to you. And I'd spend some time thinking about it and going over, am I a highly trained peak early, or do I need to do things as the points progress to keep my energy up, to make sure that I'm keeping my energy at peak performance? How am I interacting with my teammates? How am I interacting with the crowd? Am I eating and drinking between sets? Am I staying hydrated and fueled in ways that my energy can peak? No, is that a question or just a good stretch? Don't you dare flinch while I'm talking. Yes.
Well, I just tried to like train myself last year a little bit, but I want to dial in more of how can I help my younger girls?
Yeah.
Where our babies, you know, we get on like a really high note of energy, but then the next point, like you just fall.
Uh-huh.
So how can I help coach and how can I help myself and then like maintain
Yes.
from such a young age?
Great question. This fact you're aware of it is key number one. So awareness and then making sure they're aware of it as well. Is our energy at its peak? Are we too high or are we too low? And then one of the most powerful things is frustration is often met with unmet expectations. So especially with younger teams, having very clear, what does performance mean? Like I want to see 6 bump set spikes during this set. I don't care if we win or lose this set. I want to see 6 of those. So the weird thing is we'll be down by 7 and we'll do a clean bump set spike and we're going nuts. And the other team's going, you guys are scoreboard. Like, what are you cheering about? Like, but then by the end of the season, end of the tournament, our performance measures are based on things the girls can absolutely control. So this sense of control brings power, brings performance, brings energy. So I would definitely make sure we're focusing on performance measures that we have control over. We're going to hit all of our serves hard and deep today. I don't care if we miss 10 serves. All of our serves today are going to be hard and deep. All of whatever measures you want to work on during that tournament or that thing. Winning or losing is, can you play really good and lose? Yes. Can you play really bad and beat a bad team? Yes. So making sure that our goal here, especially in club, is to develop insanely good athletes who do cool things. So energy is way fun. And that ties right into the next one of what just Cass said, is what does our talk look like? How is our communication? How do we talk about things? And what do we tell ourselves even about what just happened? So remember, this all started with this idea of a miss serve. We were playing awesome. We were down 17 to 18, and then we missed. Okay, what kind of talk would you want to have after you miss a serve? This is where it gets funny, even with my college athletes. I'll just warn you. What do you want somebody to say to you after you miss a serve? Think about it for a minute. You just threw at the line, you missed. What would you want a teammate or a coach to say? You got the next one. Good. Next ball. That's a powerful one. Reset. Yeah, now that we have this link, we're all going to know what reset means, right? We're going to say that to each other, which is amazingly fun. And what's your own discussion of what happened? Why did you miss? Self-talk, because we talked about anybody who came to the camp. We talked about that internal voice. We had some amazing karaoke. That was pretty solid. If anybody got in on the karaoke fun. But the most powerful talk is the one that's happening inside of your head. So as those thoughts come into your head, I want you to write down these 3 questions. So you're sitting there thinking, okay, I just missed my serve. The most natural thing is to go to what's called negative override or negative sentiment override, NSO. So is it true? So you just missed a serve, and the first thing your brain will say is, I suck at serving. Anybody ever felt that? Even say it out loud sometimes. Oh, I suck. Weird word. My grandma would slap me for even saying the word suck, but that's super funny. We feel that way sometimes. We suck. I suck at serving. Is it true? If you're on an elite club level volleyball team at your age, do you suck at serving? Could you be better at serving? Yes, but do you suck? So the first question you always want to ask that internal talk is it true? Then maybe it is. Maybe today you do really are bad at serving today. The second question you want to ask is it helpful? Okay, so you haven't hit a serve in today, but is thinking about that helping you in any way? And then this is the most powerful one, is what would I tell my best friend? Isn't it weird how we're more often kind to somebody else than we are to ourselves? If your best friend missed a serve, would you know what to say? Yeah. So you wouldn't let her stay in this thing of I suck, I'm not any good, I'm terrible, the coach is going to take me out. You'd fight back through that. So what's amazing is when you get really good at this can happen in 3 seconds. Isn't that wild? You can miss a serve, you can release, get your eyes up, next point, your energy's up, and I'm great. It's literally that fast when you get good at it. And it's literally changes everything. The teams that scare you the most are the ones that don't care when they miss. They miss and they just go, okay. Anybody seen Steph Curry miss a 3-pointer? There's one game he went 0 for 10, right? Pretty bad. 10 3-pointers. Like even to shoot that many in the old days was just considered insane. 0 for 10. They're down by 2 with 4 seconds left. Guess who shoots? Did he pass it to somebody else at that point? Because he's 0 for 10. He must suck. Or what did he do? He hits the 3 and they win the game. Did he have any more worried about his 11th shot than he did with his first shot? No, because after he missed the 10, he knows this stuff internally. The guy who does his training is super fun. I watch all of his stuff. I met him personally when he was at the NBA Summer League. Super cool. The mentality of Steph is insane. It doesn't matter if you miss 10 serves in a row. When you know how to reset, the next one is the only one that matters. I know my baseball teams are doing good when they strike out and they just look right back at the pitcher and go, next ball, I got you. You got me once, but you're not going to get me again. They strike out again, they look right back at him. They go up. Next time they hit a ball. We had 8 different kids hit their first home runs of their